This is one of the newer creatures to the game. It's a giant war pig. This feels like a natural fit. The Equus would be too small and too wimpy for a Norse people, for a Viking people with beards and broad axes. They're going to need a beefier mount, and I like this thing. This feels like the kind of mount you could just swing an axe at heads as you ride by. Oh, okay. It's not that big a deal. You're just moving. Moving is always so much worse than you ever anticipate, and today we are moving since episode 17, and this is episode 24. We have been here at Cole Harbour building up a whole city. This is the biggest place I've ever built, to be fair, and it's not done. We will have to come back here. We will have to do more, but last episode I introduced the idea of a hiatus from Cole Harbour, taking a break, looking for some fresh inspiration out there in the world. And I think we got it. I asked you guys for ideas. You were full of them. I asked you for places to build. You had suggestions on that as well. And we talked about whether or not to use more or less mods. You guys were highly divided on that point. And that makes sense. This is a game that's on PC, and the people on PC have had it for 2 years, and we like things like this. We like to have stairs and weird little angles. But if you play on console, these are things you can't do because these come from mods. This is Structures Plus, and there is talk that it will become official. If it does, then I could play vanilla for sure. But when we head over to our new area, it's going to be a challenge to not take advantage of every tool in my toolbox to make the best looking buildings possible. But before we set out from Cole Harbour, I wanted to take a look. This is the last building I really did here. This is the Admiral's house. I worked up a staircase to it today. I think it looks pretty superb, and it looks great from out at sea as well. It looks like two eyes sort of staring out. It looks like an admiral overwatching the city. I really like it. But that's it, guys. We're stepping away for a few episodes at least. We will come back here when inspiration strikes. The city will continue to have additions. It will continue to expand. But for today, we are setting out, and we are setting out for new ground. No more is the captain's hat and that blue, white, and yellow sailor's outfit I've been wearing around this town. No more is that. Now we wear fur and metal and armor, and that is what the people of our new place will look like. The people behind us here at Cole Harbour, we really got into who they are and the way they think. And they are maritime people. They live by the sea and they trade from the sea. And that is why we're here still on the center. I need to be able to go back and forth between the two places. And as fun as it would be to go build on, world despawning behind me. As fun as it would be to go build on Ragnarok for the next little while, I'd like to be able to come back to Cole Harbour. And I'd like to be able to reach Cole Harbour from our new location and vice versa. And so we're headed out that way. It's basically dead ahead. It's that winter area up there. So I have a little bit of a journey to take, guys. Why don't you let me take it? And when we get there, I will talk more about theme. There we go, guys. That is our new home. We are, pull it up on the map. We're at 6236. And if I pull it at the map, that's where it is for you guys. This is the new spot I want to build. And it is a cold sort of fir tree forest. And it's not that far from the other areas we've built, which I like. We can reach Cole Harbour by sea, and just over this way are the waterfalls to the edge of the world, where Volume 1 and Volume 2 of this series happened. Let's see if we can wander our way over there. And then I will show you what I have been doing, the prep work I have done. I have to admit, once I got settled into this idea, and to start a whole new series of this, a whole new area, I need to have like 8, 9, 10 ideas. I need to be really inspired. But those are waterfalls to the edge of the world. That's where we started this whole adventure. And now we're coming up here, and I'm taking something from my Minecraft roots to start off our new area. And what is our new area? I want to go Viking. I want to go Norse. I want to go Skyrim. I want to go inspired by this harsh terrain, these crazy, snow-capped mountains. And the thing that I took from my Minecraft background is making a circle. Ark is not a game with circles in it. You guys know that. At least we don't have any basic circles, but if you go big enough, you can always make something that resembles a circle. And in Minecraft, the way that we would do that is you would get sort of like, you would draw a pixelated circle, and you would figure out how many times do you go across before you come in. And that is what I did here. When I started researching Viking settlements and Viking towns, they often had this perfectly round wall around the outside. And we didn't go perfectly round. I went with an oval. But starting here, this is 38 foundations across. And we'll be taking this part out because I built this in Structures Plus. We're going to try and stick vanilla. I just built this part to give me a guide and to see if I could do it. And then this way, widthways, it is 58 ceilings across. So 38 wide, 58 across, and I've tried to line it up with the terrain. So this wall comes right up to the edge of these rocks, and you can see I've got foundations running along the bottom underneath. That's what we will be building up from. But I've got it so that sort of the edge of the city, these city walls, and I don't think they will be this high. As you can see, the ground really falls away under us here. I think I'll stick to a certain height across the walls, but you can see they just kind of like clip into the edge of the rocks there. It's kind of perfect. Over here, you're going to have lots of natural green space. And then my favorite part, I think, is if you head back this way, right under where our center line is. Our center line is technically right here. We've got this big old rock, and I can picture making a really fascinating sort of city gate entrance up here using this big old rock. We will see. But I've got ideas, guys, and I'm inspired. And I think a natural first step is to start turning... I got to take down all this S+ ceilings that are just hovering up here without foundation support. We're going to try and stick to some vanilla building early on in this season, and I will resist the urge to use it as we go on. And then I'm going to build up a little section of wall. I'm going to pick a little area. Maybe we'll make a tentative gate up here. We'll build a little area of wall, and then once we're just inside the city, we'll build our first couple of houses, just to get a feel, All right, guys, let me take a break. Let me do some work, some serious work, and I will be back in your life. Cool, and welcome back, guys. I think that does it. When I say a small section of wall, I really kept going. I really kept expanding it, and we now have a wall around most of the city, most of this new settlement. And I've started thinking, and I've started getting inspired and starting to get filled up with ideas, and I'm trying to realize we got to figure out exactly how the paths and the roads are going to work in this new area. Being that we have this confined space, this sort of oval that the whole city is built in, and you can see the walls extending out this way, I feel like we're going to need to go higher for sure. I've raised the height of about half of it. But I think what I'm going to have to do is come along and continue to raise the height because as we move around here, I'm going to have to get a feel for how it feels on the inside, how it feels on the outside, but I'm getting inspired. I laid last night thinking up ideas for places we could build here, and I got lots of ideas. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to start simple. We're going to start with some really small, simple, basic houses in a Norse sort of Viking Skyrim style, and we will continue to play with that. We'll expand. We'll move on to bigger houses. We'll move on to different shops and different building ideas, markets, blacksmiths, bakeries. We'll figure it all out. But I have lots of ideas, and I want, like I said, to start small and to work up. And when we start small, we're going to start with total vanilla. I have done everything up till this point with the vanilla building pieces. You can see vanilla foundations all around us here. And I'm setting my sights on something more ambitious as we move forward. I want to get bigger. I want to try building as many cool different Viking house designs as I can. And at the beginning, it'll be fun to play with vanilla, but at some point I'll get bored and I'll want to use some Structures Plus stuff. I want to incorporate some eco trees, and I probably will. So this being a city, and this being our second city, it's got me thinking about colors. And when I first came here, I was dressed in sort of black and red, and that was my first instinct, but this area does not feel like, it doesn't feel right for the people who live here to pick black and red as their colors. Green and yellow feel much more natural. And so those are the colors I've got. It makes me figure when we go back to Cole Harbour, we're going to need a flag for them. But this is my work in progress flag. This is a Daedon. This is one of the newer creatures to the game. It's a giant war pig, and every time we have built, we've kind of thought thematically about the people and what kind of creatures they would have around. This feels like a natural fit. I feel like if our Roman area was built with the Equus would be too small and too wimpy for a Norse people, for a Viking people with beards and broad axes. They're going to need a beefier mount, and I like this thing. This feels like the kind of mount you could just swing an axe at heads as you ride by. It's got a really unique sort of trot to it. I could see this being like the main mount for these people. And then we're going to keep expanding. We're going to keep getting into more and more ideas. What do they eat? What sort of foods? What are the pest animals? What are the pets? We figure that out as we build and expand. But when I talk about starting small, I mean really small. I'm going to start with some houses so small that most of you will think they're probably useless. And I think I like that design. So I have been looking at medieval towns and Viking settlements and Saxon villages and trying to get inspiration, and I've got a lot of it. And I think what we're going to do is so the more that I looked at these designs, the more I realized that that inside the gates of most cities were some very small, very humble, very simple buildings. And you would often see buildings and building shapes repeated throughout a city. So I'm thinking, as long as this wouldn't obstruct with a major pathway, assuming maybe these two come together, this would be your major pathway, that could work. I'm going to build a bunch more of these 3x2 little houses here. And we'll see about getting dragged this way. Okay, let's back up a little bit. Okay. And so I think that's what we're going to do. And I think this is going to be our first little area. We're going to probably put a cooking pot or a campfire in here. And we're going to have a couple of these that are open. So they won't be totally useless. Let's do this. And I'm going to have to back up and check out the spacing of these, see if I like them, see if they feel right. But I think they might. Okay, let's back up. Yeah, not quite on center, but maybe if we expand this one building and make it longer, that would work. Or the positioning of the cook pot. We'll figure it out. So what I'm going to do from here, guys, is go ahead and start setting up with, whoops, and that's not right. I'm going to use a little bit of adobe here. Now, I think you could probably get away just fine using wood, and we're gonna flip things inside out. And because this is a small build, I'm just doing the old school technique. I flip it with, I think, E on PC, a triangle on PlayStation, and Y on Xbox. But yeah, you could do that, and you could have this texture sticking out, which I guess would look like so. So you could totally do that. I know not everybody has Adobe, but this, to me, Ragnarok feels like the kind of place where Vikings would live. And we're on the center right now, but Ragnarok is coming and it's becoming official. And I like that we're maybe settling into something thematic. And maybe we'll start picking up some new viewers of this series who dig this, coming back every day and exploring building ideas. And I think if I do this sort of volume of episodes right, I think you guys are going to come out of it better builders, inspired. I don't just want people to follow a design I come up with. That's why you don't see as many tutorials anymore. I want to teach you guys a billion little tricks about building so that when you set out to build something, you're not looking for a step-by-step tutorial. How do I duplicate this? You're thinking, how do I create my own amazing version of this? I take people, when I first started on tutorials, people would call me the Bob Ross of Ark. And that's a fun, sort of silly nickname. I totally embraced it after a little bit of time. But one of the things I love, and there's a whole PBS remix on this, but there's a great Bob Ross quote that says, "It's your world, you're the creator." And I think the same thing with this series. I don't want you to take... That was the whole point of this series. I don't want you to take my exact design, recreate it, carbon copy it in your world. You can find Log Cabin 2 on a billion servers all over Ark. That thing has been built a ton of times. But if I can every day inspire people a little bit, and I want these roofs to line up. They are not lining up because we did this inside-outy wall thing. I think that's perfect. Let's make sure they line up over here. I think so. I think we want as much overhang as possible. That is as much overhang as possible. And we might incorporate a little bit of paint or something in here. Oh, look at that overhang. Okay, how did I do that? Okay, let me figure it out. How did I do that? Weird. Okay, sounds good. So I want to keep working away at these, and like I said, guys, I want to get you to be a better builder by the end of this. And so with something like this Viking style, yeah, how am I going to do that? I have never built anything in this whole game Viking style, and I think I should probably start with a shout out to Timmy Carbine. He is the one person I know has a tutorial on a Viking house. Yeah, I know Timmy doesn't do as much building anymore, but his not log cabin lord, his Viking house design is really good. I have not watched it probably in over a year, and coming here, I don't really want to. I don't want to steal his ideas. If we both try and take the same image in Ark and turn it, or if we try and take the same image of a real world Viking longhouse and we both try and turn it into something in game, we're going to use a lot of the same techniques. And I am probably going to steal some ideas from other people who have done medieval and Viking themed things in Ark before. It's going to be organic. If I do steal ideas, I'm sure it's just going to happen. There are only so many options in this game, and we're all going to end up using the same ones. But I look forward to that. I look forward to having to try and figure out new techniques, to try and learn how to make you guys, because I'd have to put in work to do a Viking house tutorial. I'd have to figure out how to do one. With this series, we're going to figure it out together. So I think I've got this little area. I want to tweak it out some more, and I'm pretty sure we're going to need another little break in the middle of this segment, guys. I'm going to come back. Maybe we'll wander around the wall. We'll talk more about theme and concept, and you guys can share some of your ideas for this season now that I have revealed the theme to you, and I'm excited to get into some Viking building. Okay, don't spoil the surprise, but I got something. I got something in mind. Just keep that view in mind, and we'll be back to it later this season, I think. All right, BRB. Man, I almost just went around the whole outside of this place with torches. And this is one of those instances where if we decide to do something like that, we're cheating. We're not using vanilla, we're using the Structures Plus torches because they do not require fuel. And they stay lit and they auto light, and I canceled at the last minute, and the reason is not that it's not going to look good from the outside. I think it would look good from the outside to have the walls lit up, but from the inside a lot of light is going to bleed through, and I feel like at nighttime, this is my first time really letting myself wander at night. At night I feel like that light coming through the outer walls, I don't know if I'm going to like it. Like, I like over here, where the walls look quiet and dark, and all the light is coming from the center of the city. So I think I may hold off on putting torches on the outside. I like that. Maybe we'll just stick to the entrances and really light those up. But this is the little area. And we're going to take a ride around the outside now, I think, because I realized I didn't show you the wall at all in that last segment. But this is this little area. So this house, I did extend. It's now 4 foundations deep. As you can see, built really, really simply. I mean, incredibly simply. It's a tiny little house, but not totally useless. So we got a little bench right here. That actually lets you walk up inside it. You don't have to crouch. This one filled with sleeping bags and a campfire, and it's mainly because it's the first one you're going to walk by. It'll give you a little concept and a little explanation as to what these other buildings are without us having to decorate these out, because I don't want these all to have fires inside. I like that the light comes, at least to this side of it, from the cook pot. And the cook pot, I got little benches all around the place, and I'm thinking I will probably come in and add in a couple wooden chairs, just cozied right up to the stool like this. Well, that's a little close. To the stool? I mean to the fire. So we'll tuck one in there, and something like that. That's the beginning of it. But each little spot has benches in front of it. This almost has a campground feel to it, and I wanted something simple like that for our first buildings. But let's take a look, because before we could get to buildings, we had to get to a idea for a city. And that idea for a city is, it started with wooden walls, big, round wooden walls, and something distinctly different from what we've been working on, a port city. This city is walled in, no access to the ocean. And if you look, it's really about as simple a design as I could come up with. I didn't want to get too fancy, especially at first. So what we basically have is every 2 or 3 sections of wood walls, we have just a wooden pillar. And that is basically the whole design. As we go around, I kind of raise and lower the elevation as we... Ooh, that Carno's still alive. I raise and lower the elevation as the walls to sort of match the terrain, and we're going to have to tweak some things as we go through. And these are our lower gates, the gates to the ocean side. This is where eventually there will be some sort of dock and a way to trade with Cole Harbour. But for now, this is the only entrance from this side. And if we open on up, the feel that I get, if you guys played Skyrim, and did you play Skyrim? The feel I get is a little bit of Whiterun. In Whiterun, you come in through the city gates, and there's this sort of meandering path, and it leads up through the rocks up into the city. And I think this is where our path will lead, and probably into and underneath not a castle, but some sort of keep, some sort of main house that the ruler of the place would live in, the Jarl, if we would call him that. I like this big old rock. I built with this big old rock in mind, wanting some of our key structures, if not our big main structure, to be on top of this. And I think the way that gate is positioned, the way it's located, you could make a path right up the inside of this, and it comes up, maybe under an archway or under a bridge with some sentries on it, and you come up around here and you're in a castle courtyard, or you're in I don't know what. There wouldn't be a courtyard. There wouldn't be a courtyard in a Viking castle. It doesn't feel like it, at least. Not the ones I know from Skyrim. And then we have this big, open, green area. And this is where I was raising the walls as we came back. So the walls extend all the way around the city. I'm pretty happy with it. Getting a few tiny buildings in here makes me realize how quickly the space is going to fill up. And I got to figure out what we're going to do wall-wise. Is this how it's going to look from the inside? And are we cool with that? Does it need a catwalk along the top? Does it need fences? Does it need to be beefier in general? Or is it just like a standard stockade wall? Is that the right word? Palisade? I don't know what this word is. But I like our first little area. Guys, I kept it really simple. And this episode has been kind of a long one to record. Even though there's not a crazy amount I showed you, there was a lot of time and a lot of effort and a lot of work. So I think what I'm going to do probably is wrap it up right about now. And I want to hear your ideas, your suggestions, where we go from here, guys. I think a main road is going to come through here. We're going to have something big settled up on those rocks. As we come down here, maybe we'll have more buildings off here on top of these rocks. And then, what are you doing in here? You are not welcome in here. And then over here would be a residential district. I think this is where you would squeeze in all your houses, all your manors, all your unique shapes and sizes. And the city's going to have to look good from a distance. It's going to have elevations of all sorts. The peaked roofs are what always scared me from doing a Viking style build, because we only have the one angle and it is not a steep angle. And a Viking house is known for its steep roofs. So we have a lot of design challenges to overcome, guys. But I look forward to it. I look forward to overcoming them with you, to coming back here every week, to building, to designing, and to bringing a city to life. We've done it once before. It means we can do it again. Guys, I love it. Thank you for hanging out with me today. I'm UniteTheClans. This has been the beginning of our new Viking settlement. I love every minute of it. All right, guys, if you're brand new, popping up on the screen right now are links to the previous volumes of this playlist. Where have we been before? What have we done before? Click on them, watch them, check them out, and come back in a day or two for another new episode from here, from this new area, from the Viking settlement. All right, guys, thanks for watching. I'm UTC, and I will see you in the next episode.